Welcome to Takeaway, a weekly conversation with the ministry team here at Silverdale where we talk about our takeaways and reflections from the weekend worship experience. And we're currently in a series through the book of Hebrews called All In. And in this episode, I sit down and talk with Ricky Allison about Hebrews chapter 7. Ricky works with our adult ministries, small groups, men's ministries. He's a great guy. I know you're going to enjoy this conversation. Ricky, thanks, man, for being back.
I'm glad to be back. Glad you finally had me back. You listened to all those online petitions about bringing me back on Takeaway.
There've actually been a few.
All those, all my fans out there. I thank you for speaking up for me.
Oh man, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was
the whole Christmas series. We need to do something like that again.
Yes, maybe Easter. The summertime. We got all kind of holidays.
Yeah, Easter's coming up pretty quick.
You probably don't celebrate.
I like Easter and I like Christmas.
Okay, good.
And I like the summer, so we'll find some time to get you in for that for sure. But that was a lot of fun.
Definitely.
That was a lot of fun. But it has been a minute.
Yeah, it has
since you've been here. So catch us up with what's going on with you.
Yeah, it's we're just a lot of stuff going on. We're selling our house. So that's fun.
That's you can call it fun if you want.
Fun, the exact opposite of fun, actually. Man, just all kinds of things with that. Things you don't think of.
Right.
But packing up the house. This week my wife is on a trip. With the
Nathan's
academy.
there. Nathan's there.
Yeah, your son's there. They're in Washington D.C. And so I've been kind of a single parent this week. Shout out to all the single parents out there. You're rock stars. So
no doubt.
Packing up the house and keeping the kids alive. I'm thankful for my parents. They've been a big help in that. But just all the things that you have to do.
Nathan's had a blast on that trip. I got a phone call from one of his closest friends last night, which surprised me because I was just, I made it home after small group and I was tired and I was laying down. And I get this call from a strange number, but it's local. So I answer it, and it's one of his friends. And they're just being goofy. They're just being silly.
Oh.
And it just made me as a dad smile. I was like, that's fun. That's fun.
Cool.
So, and a lot going on in men's ministry these days.
Yeah,
so
a lot going on. So we had our kind of first kind of get back together men's breakfast for the Impact Conference.
Uh-huh.
So that was great. We had a ton of men there. But coming up, we're going to have our daddy-daughter dance.
That's coming up,
back up. And then we're going to have a Men's Connect Saturday on May 14th, where we're just going to get together in the morning for a breakfast, a short devotion.
Will that be at Bonnie Oaks?
That'll be at the Bonnie Oaks campus. That's going to be at the SMB.
Okay.
But then after our short breakfast and devotion, we're going to send guys out to axe throwing, golf, hiking. There's going to be all kinds of things that men can sign up for. And we just want, men to get back together and hang out and do things. And
I love that.
Really looking forward to it.
I've heard a lot about the men's Bible studies that have started up. I mean, early in the morning, I think at like 6 in the morning and 6 in the evening on Tuesdays?
Yeah, so we have one here on
Wednesdays.
the Bonnie Oaks campus and we have one at North Oodlewall.
Okay.
And it's like 40, 50 guys getting up at 5:45, 6 o'clock in the morning and studying God's word. So I am really excited about what we have going on in men's ministry.
It is
right
cool.
now.
So you've got the Bible studies going on. And you've got the just having fun together, guys being guys, throwing axes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just super cool. It's great. I mean, we've prayed about this a long time, right?
Yeah, definitely. And, it's time for us to get back to doing things, right? Yeah. I love college basketball, the NCAA tournament, and it's been really cool seeing all the fans back.
Yeah.
Just getting back together and having fun and just enjoying doing things.
My alma mater did all right. I went to Murray. They did all right.
Yes.
But they're out.
I don't really want to talk about the tournament anymore.
So you want to move on from there?
Move on from there. Yeah, the Vols really kind of broke my heart this year.
Yeah, wow. Well, I'm going to save you that.
Yeah, thanks.
And for all
I've cried
those
tears,
who are enjoying this moment right now that you cried tears over that.
Yeah.
We'll move on for you. What a great message this weekend too,
Yeah, it was.
Tony preached on Hebrews chapter 7. Well, I mean, Tony preached and Travis preached. I don't think Randy preached.
I don't know.
Okay.
What about Randy Travis? Is he? I love saying them together. Randy Travis.
I've actually done that.
You have?
I have.
You've called him Randy Travis.
One time I was on stage and I called Travis Randy in a prayer.
Oh.
I prayed for
Randy
right there on stage in front of everybody.
Prayed for Randy, our ponytail pastor.
Could they be any more opposite?
Yeah. They're kind of different in that hair category.
Yeah, but man, so Hebrews 7, and I read the chapter several times before the weekend.
Yeah.
And these chapters right around chapter 7, man, it can just feel so distant and foreign because we're talking about, what happened 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago in their worship culture, in the Hebrew worship culture in Israel. And that's so different from what we experience today. But the message is just so relevant. I think Tony did a great job in helping us see the importance of Jesus being our high priest.
Yeah, definitely. And that's probably one of those passages we probably can get hung up on. We can kind of stare at it for a long time and have a bunch of questions and like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And what, like you said, what Pastor Tony does such a good job of is, making it applicable to us,
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah. Earlier in the book, it talks about how, because I think it's chapter 4, we have such a great high priest, we can boldly go before the throne in our time of need. And then the author just keeps unpacking that. And so I love how, there was just so much I didn't know. I'll be honest with you, before studying this chapter, so much I didn't know about Melchizedek, so much I didn't know about, what his name meant, King of Righteousness, King of Peace, and how all of that was it pointed to Jesus and the role that he would.
I have a lot of questions about Melchizedek.
Yeah,
that we don't necessarily have to unpack here, but I got lots of questions. I'd like to talk to.
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah,
like, how to say his name.
Yeah,
just trying to read it's tough.
Melchizedek.
Yeah.
It's one of those you kind of get to and you just kind of just say it. I've learned if you say things like confidently, like Melchizedek, it doesn't matter if it's right or not. Just act like you know what you're talking about and move on.
But beyond the pronunciation, just who he was. There's a lot of mystery around him. That'll be one of those things.
Where did he come from? Where did he go? It's Cotton Eye Joe.
Oh my goodness. Now I'm derailed. That's hilarious.
I'm sorry.
No,
As I was saying it, I was like, that's song lyrics.
So when you get to heaven, just walk over to him and say, hey, and then go
tell
into
me
song.
about it. I'm like, we got this song here. Seems to have to do with you. Like, tell me more about yourself.
Oh, that's so funny. I love how Tony talked about the better than.
Yeah.
For the original hearers, readers, recipients of this, for them, they're dealing with Jewish worship culture, right? Mm-hmm. For us today, there's so much that contends for our attention, for my attention, for my affection.
Yeah.
And I have to constantly be pointed back to the reality that Jesus is better than all that.
Than all this. Yeah. Jesus is better than our circumstances. Jesus is better than the things we hope in.
Uh-huh.
He's better than everything.
And sometimes, this happens in worship culture too. Like people will get caught up on a particular preacher, a TV personality or a radio personality, or even their local pastor. Maybe it's somebody here. And we can put these people up on pedestals and get our focus in the wrong place. I know that happened in the Jewish culture. Just in what I've read and studied.
Oh yeah.
When they thought about Abraham and Moses and David and Melchizedek, all of these guys, or Melchizedek, or however you say it. But for us, maybe it's somebody else or something else, and we have to be refocused. I thought that was so helpful.
Yeah, it's so easy to put people on pedestals.
Yeah,
and everything is going to let us down at some point. It's nothing is going to be like Jesus.
That's right.
He's never going to let us down.
That's right.
And so when we take our focus off him and on other things, that's when we derail ourselves.
Yes. That was it. That verse 25. Consequently, he is able to save to the uttermost those who draw near to God through him, since he always lives to make intercession for them. Tony's comment on that was, this will give you hope in your bad times. This right here, this idea that Jesus will always be interceding for those of us that have put our faith in him.
Yeah,
man, that does. Just as you were talking about hope and how everything falls apart, but he doesn't.
Yeah, definitely.
So needed right now.
So needed, especially this past 2 years we've had, right?
Yeah.
Everything is falling apart. It's like it's crazy. Like it's almost like a movie these past 2 years, right?
Yeah.
We've got the pandemic, we've got unrest, we've got gas prices, we've got political things, we've got. It's just crazy, right? And so if we focus on that, we're going to be out of control.
And then there are the little things that go along with that. Like, my wife going to the grocery store and she can't find mousse.
Oh,
That's not a big thing, right? That's
yeah.
a little thing. But when you're dealing with so many big things and you come up to a little thing like that, it's kind of like,
We don't have margin for a lot
yeah,
of other craziness, right?
yeah,
Like when small things happen, like that's why you see people going crazy on the road or
yeah,
people yelling at a cashier.
yeah,
We don't have a lot of margin because of all these crazy things because we're focusing on our circumstances and not
right.
focusing on the better thing in Jesus.
That's right. And, when you get down towards the end of his message,
Yeah.
Tony talked about what are the benefits of Jesus's priesthood.
Yeah.
He made it very, very practical. And you said this before we turned the camera on that,
Mhm.
we could really just camp out here
Yeah.
and spend all day just
Especially the
processing
first one. The first one, if I would have learned that. So the first one was salvation is not based on my performance, but on his perfection.
Yes.
And that would have been something if I would have learned a lot earlier in my life. I got to save myself a lot of heartache. I came to Christ at an early age, but I don't know if it's a me thing or just kids in general. We want to do what's right.
Yeah.
We want to be good. But we're constantly striving.
Mm-hmm.
And when you constantly are trying to strive in your own strength, you're going to always fail. And so to know that my salvation is just based on Jesus's perfection.
Yeah.
That was just one of the more freeing things I learned.
Yeah.
About 8 or 9 years ago. So that was just.
But even though you learned that 8 or 9 years ago,
yeah.
This is something that comes back, right?
Oh, no
This
doubt.
is something we have to be reminded of.
Oh, it's a daily thing.
I heard somebody say one time that truth drifts, truth leaks, truth kind of fades, however you want to describe it. And we have to hear it again. For somebody else, it was point 2. When life is inconsistent, Jesus is permanent.
Yeah.
That's so helpful. I think of, in the many, many years I was in student ministry and children's ministry, I think of a number of kids who were just looking for something permanent in their life.
Yeah.
Because everything was changing and a lot of it wasn't good. And just that need for consistency. And yet Jesus, because we have that better hope, we have that consistent hope. It's not a performance basis.
And I think that's the one in these 3, if we would have focused on in these last 2 years, it really could have helped us.
Yeah. Wow.
Just be things not changing up there. Our days were numbered before they were won. Jesus isn't up there like, oh my goodness, COVID's hit. I got to recalculate everyone's days. Like he's got these days calculated. I didn't
see that one coming. It's not what came out of Jesus's mouth and mind.
And so we have to remember that he is permanent.
Yeah. And then, down to point 3, I can always draw near because Jesus is always there. My mind always goes back when I read a thought like this, when I read a statement like this, to Matthew 28:19-20, how Jesus says, and remember, I will be with you always, even until the end of the age. And he says this right after, he says, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them. And then he says this, I think this is a very important phrase. He says, teaching them to observe. See, it's all about living out, putting into practice. It's not performance-based. You said that, and that's not Jesus. But we do want to grow in our Christian lifestyle, behaviors
definitely.
And such. And we have good days and bad days with that, right?
No doubt.
And sometimes when we hit those bad days, we feel like, man, I'm all alone. Maybe the bad happens to us, or maybe the bad's something we do. And we feel like, how am I going to get through this? And I feel all alone. And yet to be reminded by Jesus in Matthew 28, he says, and remember, I'm always there, even into the end of the age. So as you go through both the good days and the bad days, I'm going to be there. And here he says that he is able to save to the uttermost those who draw near to God through him, since he always, I feel like I'm getting preachy again. That's not my intent. I'm excited, right?
No, this is great.
He always lives to intercede for them.
Well, this is why we have to be in the Word, right? This is why it's so important. Like Pastor Tony's always telling us, hey, be in the Word, because we need to read these passages like Hebrews 7:25. We have to remind ourselves, because we're going to get off track and we're going to focus on our circumstances when we're not in the Word, where we're not reminding ourselves how Jesus is better, how he's always there for us, how we can draw near to him because he's always there. Like if we're not in the Word, we forget these things.
So, Ricky, as we're coming to the end of this, the current sermon series in Hebrews is called All In. And you and small groups, just thinking about what you're saying right now, or what you were just saying, leave us with something about being all in. I don't know, maybe small groups, maybe men's ministry, women's ministry.
No, I mean,
help us out.
Definitely small groups. If you want to be all in, you got to have people. We like to say we experience God best in community. if you don't have those people around you that are encouraging you, that are pouring into you, that are reminding you scripture when life is inconsistent, you're not gonna be able to be all in, because you're gonna be focusing on your circumstances. And so, if you're not in a small group, get in one. And if you're in a small group and you've been in one for a long time, hey, maybe it's time to step out. Man, we are always in need of new small groups. And so I want to encourage you to maybe step out, be all in, and start your own group. We have, David Lawson is one of the amazing people on our staff. And every week he does sermon discussion guides that go along with Pastor Tony, Pastor Travis.
Yeah, I use those in our small group.
And so it makes it super easy to facilitate a discussion. I think one of the misconceptions of leading a small group is you've got to be this great theologian, you've got to be this great Bible teachers, and we have those.
Sure.
But we just want you to be in community and discuss these things.
Yeah.
We want you to facilitate a conversation, and then just be there for each other. Be there for when you're moving. Our small group came to our house a week ago and helped us pack up all of our kids' stuff. And I mean, it was life-changing, because we were able to do in a night that probably would have taken us an entire week. And so when life's inconsistent, when the bad things happen, you need people. And so, get in a small group.
So helpful. I appreciate you saying that, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah.
It's so great to have you back. And as we're wrapping this up, maybe we can figure out a way to get you back on Takeaway while you're still in your 30s. I know the time is getting short.
Time is drawing near. I had a good run.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me back on. I love doing this.
Well, I just love Ricky, and I love his passion for ministry. He has such a desire to see people get plugged into small groups, and for men to get involved in different men's ministry opportunities. And he's just a lot of fun to talk to as well. So if you don't know Ricky, make sure you take the time to get to know him. I know he would love to connect with you. And listen, if you're new to Silverdale, if this podcast or if this video is your introduction into who we are, welcome. So glad you're joining with us. And we would love for you to be a part of one of our worship services. We have a Saturday service. We have a number of times and locations throughout the greater Chattanooga area. Would love to have you join us. Make sure to check out our website for times and locations. We even have online options. If you don't live here, or if you just can't join us in person, I would love to worship with you online. So again, we would love for you to be a part of a weekend worship service. Again, thanks for joining. Hope that you'll be back next time.